nobody cares.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, Akshat.
Hello,
I don't
Didi.
want to disturb, but I do want to record this, the informal chat.
No, yeah,
So,
no, because what we are saying, today we are talking about talk about Surya.
yes.
Okay, and we know that that's her son's Devta is also Shiva, and Jupiter's Devta is also Shiva, Adi
Yeah.
Devta, and Pratyadi Devta, and Adi Devta is Agni. So why is Shiva? Because there are certain aspects of the chart that can only be remedied by Shiva. There are certain aspects of the chart that can only be remedied by Vishnu. So that is why before that you have to worship all of them. We are not dividing that, okay, you are a Vaishnavite or you're Shaivite, do only do Shiva Puja or do Vishnu Puja. You need both.
Yeah.
Simple. It's a simple. Why this thing? Adi Shankaracharya said, okay, you only need to worship five devtas. There are five tattvas, worship five devtas. Simple.
Okay. Shall we begin, Akshat?
Yeah. Yes, Didi. Let's begin. And we have Antot is not here,
No.
and there is this.
I think he will come.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's begin. Feel free to say the mantra. Anything, and okay, after the mantra we can discuss. Okay. Gananam tva ganapatim havamahe kavin kavinamupamashravastamam ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिसीदसादनम् ॐ गणेशाय नमः. Okay. The Shiva mantra, since we were talking of Shiva. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, welcome everyone to this session which we have combined. Let me. So, how we are going to do today is I'm going to go through all the 12 placements, but the focus will be, of course, on the Rashis. Okay, the Rashis and the signs and the sun placements. But remember, I don't want to. There are some chart examples I have, some I don't because I didn't have time. But also bear in mind that the Saravali and a lot of the other texts give very detailed explanation, including Jataka Bharnam, give detailed explanation on the sun's placement and what Rashi it is in, as well as what house it is in. So I would encourage all of you to have a look and study further. And the second thing is that the importance is given as to the dispositor or the lord of the Surya, the sun's Rashi, which later on at the end of this, Akshat will be covering. Along with Akshat, you're also covering fifth from the sun and ninth house from the sun. Okay. And we will tell you what the reasons are and why the sun sign is important and the Rashi is important. So I will begin by introducing. If anyone has a question, you can ask in the middle, but make sure that bulk of them leave it in the end if possible. Okay. And we will also be putting up charts. If anyone wants to put up their chart, especially when Akshat comes in, feel free. Okay. But bear in mind that this session is recorded and will be put up in the divination groups and various groups. So accordingly, if you're sensitive, don't don't volunteer. So coming back to, we all know that our life on earth is bhuloka, and from the solar system to the heavens is bhuvaloka, and beyond is where the nakshatras reside is a swarga loka, which is the residence of the devatas and all of that. So these three, the trilogy, constitute a very important part, and somewhere along the sun is sort of like the overseer and giver of life here on earth for us. Now, I will come back to this about the precession of the equinoxes, but first we have to figure out that the nature of the and the lifespan of the material universe, we almost assume that the sun will always rise, and it will always be there. And in a way, it is a sort of a permanent fixture. But when you look at the big yugas, now what is a yuga? And the big kalpas and the big ages, big chunks of time, you will realize that the sun is not always going to be there, and often there are many, many suns. Each galaxy has its own sun. So, which brings us to the nature, the Brahma Vidya, the nature of our, universe. And the manifested, our life on earth is manifested as we know it. Time and life is manifested in terms of kalpas or big chunks of time. The kalpa is nothing but a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of thousands of cycles of the four yugas, which roughly are sort of like the Satya Yuga, which we are all familiar with, the Treta, the Dwapara, and the Kali Yuga, and we are currently in the Kali Yuga. And the kalpa is again equivalent to 4.32 billion years, which is a single day of Brahma, or 1000 mahayugas. So again, these are, like I said, big chunks of time, and even in the epic Mahabharata, it talks about the constitute, it talks about the big kalpa, and after every kalpa there is invariable destruction, and that is very evident in the epic of Mahabharata, where after all of the great war, which is the Mahabharata, then everything sort of dissolved. Eventually the Yadava clan, which belonged to the Lord Krishna, also came to an end. Now, you could well say this is the curse of Gandhari or whatever, but the main thing is that if you follow the, eventually the Yavanas had their fall, or complete destruction of them followed. So that is nothing but, it's called pralay or dissolution, which occurs after every kalpa. So currently we are 50 years of Brahma supposed to have elapsed, and they call it the Shvetavaraha Kalpa, or the 51st one. And now the annihilation, we all know it's attributed to the Matsya avatar, but he's also instrumental in saving, after the complete destruction and eventual saving is, through the Matsya avatar. He helps us to rescue all the knowledge and the bodies of knowledge, which is nothing but coming directly from Dakshinamurti onto from Lord Shiva. And that is nothing but the Sapta Rishis. And this is often a very common depiction of the imagery of the Sapta Rishis, the seven great sages. You can see them, they are also attributed to each of the constellations of the nakshatras in the sky. And here there's another by Ravi Raj Varma imagery of the Matsya avatar, who's attributed to nothing but Ketu. Hence, the whole concept of lineage comes from Ketu. Okay. Now, one of the great, one of the chapters in the great Bhagavad Gita, it comes at Maharshaya. So Maharshaya, that is the seven great Sapta Purva Chatavaryo Manavastata. So the Manastatha. So that means the seven great sages, the four great saints, and the 14 Manus are all born from my mind. This is the Bhagwan talking to Arjuna. From them, all the people in the world have descended. So that's the importance of Ketu, the lineage, and the Matsya avatar. Okay, so you get the picture that after every pralay, all the solar system is destroyed, everything is destroyed, the suns are destroyed too, and then a new sun is given birth. Now, that is a sort of the Vedic view from a lot of the Puranas. They may differ in some ways of shape or form, but essentially the concept remains the same. Okay. So then it gives us a big idea about what is our life on earth about then. Hey, you know, so yes, that's a good question. So, and big oops and there's another aspect of our life on earth. You know, when we talk of the earth and when we talk of Jyotish, we have to take into account the precession of the earth, the wobble of the earth caused by the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon. You know, so the earth is not exactly moving at an exact rotation, you know, and often this is called the ayanamsha, or the precession of the equinoxes. Because of the result of this precession, the cutting point of the ecliptic and the celestial equator, as you can see, that is an imaginary line on which the sort of like on a tilt, and the imaginary line. So not just is the earth moving, but it is also wobbling as it's moving, you know, and that is approximately at an angle of 50. It's a drift at approximately 51 seconds each year, and so less than a degree per 100 years. So we then have all the change, you know, the vernal equinoxes, the starting point of the Sayana zodiac, which is nothing but the tropical zodiac, because of the drift in the ayanamsha, or the degrees. Okay, so but you may well ask, so what has that got to do with the suns and all the destruction? Now, this is where we come in. So, what exactly are we talking about the sun? And so, because this Ayanamsha is absolutely central to the mapping onto the nakshatras, okay, because of this Ayanamsha, we do not use the Sayana or the tropical zodiac. We use the sidereal zodiac. The sidereal zodiac basis is, of course, the precession. So that means the sidereal zodiac is mapped directly onto the fixed stars in the sky. They are derived from the fixed stars. Hey, who rules the fixed stars? Who's the keeper of the fixed stars? It's the moon, the Chandra. So here now we have this kind of, you know, a dance, a kind of a rhythm, a kind of a sort of like a movement or a force, imaginary force between the sun and the moon. Okay, so which is really interesting, because that is nothing but what we're talking about, the precession of the earth, which is caused by the forces of the sun and the moon. And this imaginary, you know, the rotation of the earth, the wobble, which is, it's like being pulled from your hair. And I've mentioned this before to some of you, may be familiar with, pulled with your hair on, you know, as if it is moving towards some imaginary point beyond the solar system. Okay. And what is this? This is Dhruva, the Polaris star, the northern star. Okay, the northmost celestial poles or the celestial equator. It is like the fixed reference, which is slow, moving very slowly because of the slow change in the direction of the Earth's wobble or its rotation. Okay, so this is a very important concept, and you have to understand. So the earth, so we are not like standalone creatures, really. You know, we are not like, okay, you know, our material existence is linked to the kalpas, and it is linked to the Brahma who's the creator. So you see, we are all linked through the sages, through the, no matter what nationality, what breed, what, what, anything you are, what color, what, it doesn't matter, but you are linked. If you are a human being, if you are a, belong to the human race, then you will have some connection to one of these seven great sages. Okay, so here we go. And this North Star or the Pole Star is often called the Dhruva. Okay, Dhruva was a big devotee of Lord Vishnu. He spent years and years in great devotion to Lord Vishnu, and nothing could deter him. And that is why the fixity at which, hence that the whole that point Dhruva is synonymous with the fixity of mind and fixity of the asceticism and the penance and the single focused determination that comes from Dhruvatara or the pole star. Okay, and hence the earth's kind of being pulled towards that direction. Okay, now let's move forward. So this sidereal zodiac is called Nirayana zodiac or the Nirayana chakra, the sidereal, the zodiac, the whole chakra, all the rashis and all, because they are mapped onto the nakshatras. Okay, while the tropical is a sayana. Okay, so, and this is roughly the dates. You can take a screenshot. Some of you I know are Western astrologers. They may be very familiar with the dates on the right hand side. Okay, I won't go into that, but this was just a thing. Now I again will refer to the white light, the column of white light. It's as if is instrumental in our creation. It's the Brahman or the the great Atma, Sarvatma, which comes into, is instrumental. It's like akin to passing the white light passing through a light of the prism, and hence it kind of goes into those 7 to 8 different colors, beautiful colors, Vibgyor as they are called. I think it's Vibgyor. Yeah, I missed out the blue. Saturn, but anyway, so these lights are instrumental in our creation and bringing our karmas from many, many lifetimes. And they are also mapped in some way, shape, or form to all the chakras and all the vortex points and all the nadis, all the granthas within our body. I'm not going to go into all the where and what, because this is not our focus today, but this is just to get you to recollect and recall that we are creatures born of light, and light is being one of the primary 5 great maha elements, the great elements. Okay, and the bright light then passes through the prism and so on and so forth, and each of these 8 different colors bring us 8 different kind of karma, akin to the 8 different planets, including Rahu. A lot of people say that Rahu cannot be a Charakaraka, that is, cannot be the significator of anything, but it is, because Rahu is, unlike Ketu, Rahu's agenda is totally different. Okay, it is the key planet, the key point for bringing us, taking us out of our life from this planet Earth and bringing us back on again. That's what Rahu wants. While Ketu is totally different. Ketu is Matsya Avatar, is the great Ananta. It wants to give you moksha or push you towards that, in very simplistic but very clear terms. Okay. Now, Now, another thing you have to remember is the Charakarakas, which is an advanced concept which we will come to, which is linked to the Atmakaraka, which is your soul. Soul is a shoddy, very pathetic translation of the word Atma. Read the Bhagavad Gita, most of the Bhagavad Gitas, barring a few, and definitely the Bhagavad Gita, which is taught by the Dayanand Saraswati, which is a school that I mean for the Vedanta studies, that does not give the translation of Atma equivalent to soul. Okay, it's very, very different. Atma is something which is eternal, which is forever there, and it will keep getting it's just there. So our whole life ethos and life force on earth is about that self realization that we are jivatma, that is, we are the great atma linked to the sarvatma or the paramatma, that is linked to the great brahman. That is, to in one word, that is our entire motivation of being on earth, and burning as many karmas, the negative ones especially, as possible. Okay, so from that point of view, the sun is our soul, our atma, and the sun is also our natural atma karaka. So it's sort of like a default, it doesn't matter what your specific karma is coming from, because a lot of the specific planets will give you, whichever the planet may be, will give you your atmakaraka, depending on that, may vary from person to person, right? So Antot may have a different atmakaraka to Mega, or to somebody else, to Isabel, and to me, my atmakaraka is moon, and so all my karmas are funneled through the moon. Okay, so it is so it is my ticket. The atmakaraka is a big topic. Okay, but for now we will consider that the sun is a natural, by default it is the naisargika atmakaraka, that is a king of your chart for all. So it doesn't matter if you're a Leo rising, definitely for you, even, or for that matter Capricorn rising, the sun will be your natural atmakaraka. Okay, so now this is a very beautiful text. A lot of my Aditya's work I have referred to from Samba Puran. Samba Puran it's one of the great Puranas, Surya Upa Puranas as it's called, and it is essentially been given by Samba, the son of Lord Krishna. Okay, now what happened was, after the great war, after the great Mahabharata, okay, for lots and lots of time, everybody were sort of, peace obviously prevailed for a while, but with peace came a lot of hedonism and a lot of singing and dancing, which is no bad thing, but people also got into bad habits of being very lackadaisical and having fun, and so some of the values were corroding, and so there's a lot of people were into a lot of pursuing of pleasures and things like that. So Samba was a young kid of 16, 17, like a teenage kid, and he was extremely beautiful. He was son of Krishna, and Krishna lived in Dwarka, and he was it's by the sea. If you ever visit Dwarka, it is amazing, Dwarkadish, and beautiful place, and you can feel the energy, a totally different vibe. And Samba was very playful and extremely beautiful, and so much so that there are stories about that Krishna transformed as one of his wives to and one of his young wives, and in order to see the reaction of Samba, his own son. And obviously it was totally, he was like, all the women would flock to him. He was very charming, very beautiful. Of course, he was the son of Krishna. A lot of penance he got his son from Lord Shiva. So the thing was, once there was like a group of rishis who came to meet Lord Krishna. And so Samba, and of course, then at those times you have to, and even now, anyone, any Brahman or any Maharishis, you have to pay great respect, and you can't mess about with them and things like that. So they were, a lot of hospitality had to be done and things like that. But Samba, of course, being a little bit arrogant, little bit hedonistic, little bit drunk by his own looks and charm and his intelligence, he dressed up, he disguised himself as a pregnant woman. And he paraded in front of the rishis and said, which of you can tell me, whether it's a boy or a girl? You are great predictors. Do tell us whether it's a boy or a girl. And sorry, sorry, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. And so one of the rishis got, Durvasa, he's known for his temper. He got super angry with him, and he cursed him that because of you and because of your son Krishna, I'm going to curse your entire Yadav clan, and they will be completely extinguished. Okay, that was his big curse. And not just that, you will also, you are being like playful and you are so proud of your beauty, Samba. Here you go. It will all disintegrate and it will come to nothing. And there were a few other curses too about the weapons, and the whatever you touch will turn into a weapon that will kill you and things like that. So anyway, so Samba over time then got this leprosy, Kushti Rog, as they call it in Sanskrit. And so he got leprosy. And so he obviously was completely heartbroken. And so he went to Krishna, and Krishna said, well, you've been cursed, only they can help you. So essentially his journey was all about going from this really horrible diseased leprosy ridden state onto worshipping of the sun. Why the sun? Because the rishis told him. And so finally the entire his experiences and his mantras, and the last part of the Samba Puran is very tantric, because it is all about the remedies and the tantras, the mandalas that you can do with the sun for any kind of remedials of any kind or any of the afflictions. So he wrote, then finally the birth of Samba Puran happened because of his worshipping his the rishis telling him to go and worship and the Surya, and he will have answers to your problems. And so much so, he's so devoted he was with the penance and everything, he constructed a temple in Mitravana. Later you will see that Mitravana, the word Mitra and Vana is like a forest and Mitra is a friend. Mitravana is a very important word. Later you'll see for the Gemini solar deity, and he on the Mitravana, on the banks of Chandrabhaga, at what was the Multan Sun Temple. So he basically constructed and employed a lot of people and so on and so forth, employed the Magas who were the sun worshipper priests and things like that. And so this was pretty stellar because he did get the result and he was able to, solve his issues of leprosy. Now, move, as you can see in the imagery here. So here we are. This is a great, beautiful from Orissa, the Konark temple, the image here, the Sun Temple. It is one of the most amazing temples ever. So if ever you get a chance to visit Orissa, do. It is absolutely stunning. Our parampara also comes from there. So, from Orissa, from Puri. Um, so the sun worship as a cult and sect established only in the epic Puranic age. So the Puranas, the deities that is was worshipped for the sun came in both in the mandala, that is in these geometrical patterns and structures, specifically very focuses on the circularity of it. So it came from there. And but later on it became more deified based. Okay. So the Samba Puran has it in the early period that the image of the sun did not exist in its circular form, just as the disk of the sun in the sky, but the deities were worshipped later. Okay. And again, there are shlokas to do that, that the worshipping of the deity in the mandala form originated in the Vedic period. And this we are talking only for the sun specifically. Okay. So this temple was constructed, obviously the Multan temple was, it probably was built on from there, and it was built by King Narasimha Deva, and so on and so forth. So anyway, there are excerpts from the Samba Puran. If anyone wants to see it, I would recommend buying this book, downloading a PDF. It is fantastic. Okay. Absolutely, lot of jyotish, lot of remedials and things like that, but of course you do need a little bit of guidance, so on and so forth. So now coming back quickly without wasting too much time about the sun signs. So what is the word in Sanskrit? The Parashara's shlok begins with Rashi Mani. So Mesha, Vrishobha, Mithuna. So we won't go into all of that, but essentially I want you guys to understand what is Rashi. Rashi, because without Rashi we can't understand the sun signs. So the Rashi, the word Rashi, if you split it up, it's Ra. The Ra is nothing but synonymous with the sun, the rays of the sun. And even in, I think, other cultures, the Ra, Egyptian, the Ra is often the sun god. And here Ravi is also another name for the sun. Okay, Parashara uses Ravi very, very, generously across the texts. So each measuring the 30 degrees. Okay, why? Because the motion of the sun and the moon, remember we are back to the sun and the moon, the sun and the moon, the whole earth, the movement of the earth and the wobble of the earth and everything, and the forces of the sun and the moon are instrumental in the whole motion regarding the sun. Okay, so we have observed that the average motion of the sun is approximately 1 degree per day. Therefore, in 30 days, the sun would have moved ahead by 30 degrees. So this is nothing but a measure of the sun. And we also know that the moon moves the entire zodiac, all the nakshatras, all the constellations in roughly 27 to 28 days. Okay, and the movement between the two conjunctions from the moon, from the moon to the sun is called nothing but a Rashi. Okay. Now, if you check the Sanskrit meaning, the Sanskrit, what's the big deal about Rashi? Why is it linked with, okay, I got the solar purpose. I got okay, it's connected to my soul, the sun and all that. But what's this Rashi? Why is it instrumental in wealth and giving us everything? Okay, let's understand why. So Rashi literally means quantity. Okay. It means sarva graha and parigraha, individual account, which ascertains the results of the food taken in properly or improper quantity. Okay, so that is one of the definitions of Rashi. So we are talking of Rashi quantity. And what kind of quantity? So in the numerical system, in the Shastras of, the Indian mathematics, it refers to usually of 12. Okay, so unit measurement. So again, now we are talking of a unit measurement, synonym of one drona, which is 12.288 kilograms, 1 metric units. That's interesting. Oh my God. So again, we are talking of something around in the vicinity of 12, and then the Hindu, it is also from the Ganit Shastra, from the Indian ancient mathematics. It is also the rule of 3 terms. Okay. Okay. So rule of 3 terms. Um, there is a mathematic concept of rule of 3 terms. I don't want to go in that because I'm not very clear, hence the rule of 3 terms. But um, maybe we will explore, or maybe that's your little homework. What is the rule of 3 terms? Okay. Um, the other definition which comes of the Rashi is the Mahanayana Buddhism, and it refers to like a heap of jewels. Okay. And it talks about the Lord of 40 internal eons. Again, making offerings. So this Lord Sarva Deva Bhisheka, making offerings of a heap of jewels, Ratna Rashi, as much as Mount Sumeru every single day. By the firmness of his merits, that is a punya, the king, his sons, the villages, people, retinue, generated the thought of incomparable, complete awakening. Ah, so basically we are getting somewhere. So we are talking about also about like a collection of jewels, and but obviously it is, when we talk about incomparable, complete awakening, we are talking about consciousness. So now again we are talking of, so the rashis have multifold meanings here. It's beginning to emerge that the rashi is nothing but like a heap of quantity, like a pile up, whether it's wealth, storage, risk, grains, jewelry, which will improve our sense of consciousness, our soul consciousness, or our atma. Hey, we are back to the atma. Okay. So again, it can also be angara, heap of cinders. It's called, usually also referred to as angara, heap of cinders. What is cinders? Angara in Sanskrit again is, the word angara is like a spark of, the cinders which fly off when you burn something, like that's called the angara. So that is again very strong agni, very strong fire. So we are back to, hey, fire. We are now getting somewhere. Fire. Hey, that's the sun. Of course, the sun is, without the fire of the sun, without the heat of the sun, without the brightness of the sun, and it's metaphorically as well as in every way, we would not be able to exist. So again, we are getting a heap of cinders. So what is that? Heap of riches, wealth, wealth in form of like donations and, kumbi, bhojan. Bhojan is like food. So now this all is telling us something very vital, that Rashi is nothing but giving us all the wealth, all the consciousness. What do we need wealth for? So we are comfortable and our mind can focus on other things. What are those other things? Consciousness, atma, spiritual. So that is the whole purpose of the sun. You see, that is why the sun is called the Naisargika Atmakarika, because the sun is our creator. Without the sun, without the heat of the sun, we would not sustain, we would not be able to live on this planet. And so that is our instrumental in our creation. But what is the purpose? Ultimately, the purpose is, our lagna, our mind, our intelligence. What are we using this consciousness in? Is our body, which is our lagna, which is our ascendant, is it aligned to the sun, what the sun is demanding of us, which is nothing but pursuit of knowledge? But we can't pursue anything. Let's say we don't have any food in our tummies and, we can't exist. We are like, on the bed, what can we pursue? We can pursue nothing. So hence the importance of the Rashi. Okay, so everybody please understand the importance of Rashi. Rashi, if you use the word sign, you will get nowhere. But if you use the word Rashi, it will open up doors for you. Okay, so hence the importance of the word Rashi, and how it is linked with the sun, and why it is instrumental in providing and giving us everything that we need and require for our sustenance, including spiritual upliftment and consciousness moving forward. Sun is instrumental, as you will see later. And that is also the reason why the sun is a karaka of our intelligence, our dhi shakti, the strength of our intelligence. We are like the bright spark. The only thing that is different from the animals to us is our pursuit of our spiritual consciousness, or our pursuit of liberation. They are not suffering. Even if they suffer, if you have ever seen a dog who's got whose leg has got like crippled, or something has happened, he doesn't sit there moping and calling up his friends and saying, oh my god, my roof has fallen on his head. He'll just carry on walking with 3 legs. He will struggle, but he will just carry on. He's not going to sit there like calling up his all the other dogs in the vicinity, and wow wow, crying and talking to them about his state of his misery. Would he? So but humans will do that. So that's the difference. So that is why we need that akash, we need the agni, we need the fire of intelligence to sort of compel and move us forward into our spiritual journeys. Okay, so human beings are the only one. Okay, now the different Puranas give the names of the Adityas in different ways. So the Aditya again is another name for literally for the solar deities which are associated with each of the rashis. Okay, and they are all different, they all mean different things. Okay, later we will see different mantras. Each of these mantras I will go through. So the Bhagavad Puran mentions the 12 Adityas as Indra, Dhatra, Bhaga, Twashtra, Mitra, Varuna, Yama, Vivaswat, Savitur, Pushan, Amshumat, and Vishnu, while the Brahman Purana has almost similar list but mentions the name of Amshu instead of Yama. So there are minor differences here and there, so we won't worry about those. Now the sun is also the giver of all our Vedic calendar. It divides the entire zodiac, the entire year, which is the overseer. Shani is the overseer, but the entire year is divided into literally 2 parts, 6 signs on one and 6 signs on the other. Okay, after the Makar Sankranti, that is after the Capricorn, the ingress of the sun into 0 degrees of Capricorn, and that is when the sun is moving towards the northern direction. It is brighter, warmer, and all the seasons, the rain, not the rain, sorry, the spring and summer fall into that. So that is called the Uttarayana. So often that is beautiful, and people born during that have a slightly different karmic disposition compared to people born in the Dakshinayana part of the zodiac, which is from 0 degrees Cancer till 0 degrees Capricorn, which is the Dakshinayana, where the sun is like slowly moving towards the winter. It's called, you can say, the fall or the winter sun. Okay. And so are I won't go again too much into the lunar months. It's going to take me off the topic. And so here the lunar months, this is from the ISKCON site. In India, the lunar months, the calendar that we are using, is derived. There are two ways of deriving it: either the full moon, which is called the Purnima, which is often we have the Satyanarayan Vrata, in the temples. People keep the Satyanarayan Vrat, which is fantastic because it shows you your devotion towards truth and uprightness, and that is called the Satyanarayan. That is done usually during a full moon. The blessings of Vishnu are innumerable if you do the vrata or the fasting of the full moon, which is called the Purnima. And so the calendar followed during that is Shuklanta, okay? And Varamira followed that calendar, while the new moon, which is, the basis of the new moon, which is happening in each of the nakshatras, if you derive the Rashi from the new moon to new moon, then it is the Ananta calendar, Vedic calendar, and that is followed in some parts of, northern India and things like that. But again, we won't go into that. We will stick with Varamira, and we will stick with the ISKCON here. Some of these are the names based on the full moons of the nakshatras that happen in. So, for example, this is in Chaitra, which is in the Chitra Nakshatra, March to April, Vishakha, which is in Vaishakha, it's called April to May. So, and the left-hand side is a list of all the Vishnu deities, the Vishnu forms, different forms of Vishnu, which you need to worship, or at least say the name. Just saying the name is very good for you. So I will put this list later on, because these Vishnu names are extremely auspicious, okay? But this is not the solar deity, so please don't get mixed up. But I've put this little extra bit. So I am born in February, right? January to February. So I was born in the month of Magha, okay? And the Vishnu, the particular form of Vishnu, which will be very beneficial for me, is Madhava. Okay. So just reciting his name, chanting his name, Madhava, Madhava will bring me a lot of good fortune. Okay. So now we know that the Rashis, once we have the Rashis established, we have all the 4 Kendras which are guided or overseen by the Purna avatars. That is the first house, which is our rising, is Rama. 4th house is Krishna. The 7th house is the setting of the sun, which is Varaha or the Sri Varaha. And the 10th house is the Narsimha. Okay. We may go over this again another time, but for now, please understand that the Purna avatars, along with the Ganesh, is instrumental in our overseeing our any problems in the Kendras. And because Ganesh is a special deity who is the Devata for our Bhuloka, for giving us all the material benefits and removing all the obstacles, removing all the badhak in our life. Hence, Ganesh and his 2 wives, Vriddhi and Siddhi, are often synonymous to the 4 overseas, the 4 different kendras. So the buddhi, that is our intelligence, is given by Ganesh. The shuddhi, that is our purification, how clean we are in our hearts, that is given by the 4th house, which is shuddhi. And the vriddhi, that is our growth in terms of material benefits, businesses, all of that is vriddhi, that is one of his wife. And siddhi is what we achieve, what power we have through the knowledge we have possessed, how much we have worked through to get that knowledge is siddhi, and that is the 10th house. Okay, I think we all are familiar about the Lakshmi Sthanas and the Kendra Bhavas. Okay, so I'll skip this part. And you all have been given, you're all familiar with each of the Ganesh mantras, so I won't go into that for each of the signs, so I won't go into that. So let's move forward to Mesha. So Mesha is again 3 nakshatras overlook it. It is the exaltation of Aries. Okay, So three of the nakshatras are there. I think I did this last time, so I won't go too much by it. It is a night strong sign, rises with its back, its residence in the east. All the dharma trines, 1, 5, and 9, their directions are east. Okay, please understand this. Their residences are always in the east, and it is the only sign which is royal. And hence often you'll see mesh rising people, I think this guy will tell me, Akshat, all the anyone with sun in Aries or Aries rising, they can climb mountains like within minutes. They'll be like like sheep. They literally like sheep, they will climb up. They'll be able to do that quite a bit. So what does it mean that when you have a sun in Aries or sun in the first house, okay, you will have that ability of, or the power of the Dhatra Aditya. So the Aditya or the solar deity, Aditya, the word Aditya is the giver, the Aditya is the sun. So it's the giver of that particular, quality, or the Rashi will give you through that the wealth that is given. So Dhatra Aditya will give you the power of, it's like the Prajapati. It will give you the power of creation, bringing forth something into the world. From different things you can create, because you are under the purview of Dhatra Aditya or Dhata Aditya. So Antot, for example, even though his sun is Aquarius, but it is in his Lagna. Okay, so he's Aquarius and the sun is in Aquarius Lagna. So he has a power to create. Okay, it is like as if the sun is also in Aries, because it is in the first house. That is why. So that is a very powerful thing. So sun is, of course, so he will have an element of starting something with the help of the Dhata Aditya. Okay, of course he will also, he will be influenced by the sun in Aquarius. That is also there. Twashtra, the celestial architect, also is there, but there is also a very strong element of Dhata Aditya. So what are we doing here? We are combining the two. We are not just saying, oh, he's got sun in Aquarius, so, and sun, Aquarius is rising, so he's just Aquarius. No, he will also have a very strong element of that whole creation, gift of creating, which is creative abilities, of starting something, which is given by the Dhata Aditya. Okay, is everybody clear on this? Yeah. And the person will become famous, clever, if the sun is not in deep exaltation in Aries. A person will become famous, clever, traveler, possessed of little wealth, bearer of arms. This is by Brihad Jataka. But the sun in Mesha on Lagna, he will be wealthy, eyes will be diseased. So essentially, if you see all the different significations of, the sun in various Lagna, if you have sun in Aries, then it is the fifth lord in exaltation. It is in Raj Yoga. You will have a volatile nature. You will be capricious. You'll change your mind quite a lot, but you will be well known in your communities and your clan. All that is there. You will though have eye issues. It's not listed here, but there are some significations which go with it. So for example, if you have Surya in Lagna, Parashara mentions head diseases of the head. It could be, oh my God, I'm suffering from migraine. I've got friends who suffer from migraine. They've got sun in Lagna. It's common. Conflict with kingsmen. So they will always be at odds with the people around them, So please understand how you have to delineate, how you have to break it down. So it is not just about sun in one sign, sun in Aquarius, sun in Leo, sun in whatever. It is also where it is positioned. It will take the quality of that Rashi and the house. Okay. So the seventh house, for example, is absolutely different to the sun in Lagna. Sun in the seventh is like any sun will be like sun in Libra. Okay. So if you have sun in Libra and your Aries rising, so you have sun in Libra, that means you are like a double Libra, because the sun is very, very, it is in Libra in the seventh house. That shows that there is this lifetime, it is all about the other, the other person, the markets, the money, the finances, all of that will be a big, big force, because, there we'll see when we do other charts, that will be a big factor. Women will be a big factor, because it is sun is in not just in a fallen position, that is it's in its debility, sun in Libra, but it's also in the seventh house, and so naturally it's a natural house of Venus, so it will color it. Is everybody understanding this? It will color it. So you have to understand how it all works. So women will play an instrumental role, again when we come to the sun in Libra, we will come to that, and the sun in the seventh. So that this is how you have to see both where the sun is and what house it is in, and that's how you have to read it. Okay, so by Brihad Jatakam, it says courageous, slow, short, defective eyesight, and cruel. Now, another aspect of the sun you have to understand is sun is very strong light. It's Agni, very strong, is the source of all light. So naturally, because of all those reasons, and also it is extremely cruel. That is, it is very krura graha. Krura means what? It's a krura means very cruel. They are brusque. They don't have time for, they will speak like that. And that is the nature of the sun. Okay. And if you have sun with Mangal, God help you, because that means it's like, oh my God, you are single-minded, you will stop at nothing. There is a deep sense of cruelty. Some people can say, oh, but water signs may be like, oh my God, that is a nightmare, too intense. But that is the nature. We have to accept what the nature is. If you have a sun and Mars conjunction in a particular, let's say in Aries, it will, but maybe the better aspects will come out, because it is Mars Mool Trikon and Sun's Ucha Rashi. That is because Sun in Aries is exalted, like Billy Joel. I'm giving you an example. But again, Billy Joel's Sun and Mars conjunction is in the 11th house. It is not in the Lagna. If it was Lagna, he would be like triple Mars, triple the Aries. He would not be like, he's Gemini Lagna with Sun and Mars in a Mesha in the 11th house. Fantastic. That will give him a single-minded determination of creative ability, entertaining ability, because the Sun rules for a Gemini, the Sun is ruling the third house. So you see, is everybody understanding this very vital aspect of how you delineate, how you kind of break it down, to infer. So don't just take blindly. Parashar Rashi mentions head diseases. Sure, but this is for Aries. But where? If the sun is in Lagna, yes. But if the sun is, even though its sun may be in Aries, if it is in the 12th house, it may not, the same thing may not hold true. Okay. Similarly, the Vrishabha, we have to now understand when the sun is in Vrishabha, and if it is in Lagna, so we are talking of Taurus Lagna and Taurus sun, the fourth lord in Lagna in enemy sign, okay, that's trouble, because the sun does not like Venus. Okay, the sun and Venus are at odds with each other, even though in the Kal Purusha, the sun and Venus are like opposite each other. And a lot of the remedies will come from each other. But the sun does not like being in Venusian sign. And that is also the reason why it is debilitated in the sign of Libra. Okay. But Here, the signification given is pleasant appearances, diseases of the urinary tract. Okay, so these are will hold true if you have Taurus rising with Sun in Taurus. Similarly, Gemini rising, the Sun in Gemini, sickness, ill health, difficulties through enemies and deaths. Cancer. Now, often they have attributed for Aries Lagna, Sun in Aries, Cancer Lagna, and Sun in Cancer, and Leo, and Sun in Leo on the Lagna. They are meant to be like night blind for Leo, and for all three of them, there is problems with their vision. They have either some kind of ongoing diseases, glasses, or some kind of eyesight issues going on. Okay, so that would be there. Trachoma, for Gemini it is difficulties through enemies, deaths, etc. Why difficulties through enemies? Because it is a third house, Gemini rising, and if the Sun is in Gemini, the lord of the third house, Leo, is in the Lagna. Even though it's a Dhimanta yoga, but it is still going to give problems. Leo, similarly, Leo, night blindness, Virgo, Sun in Virgo and Virgo Lagna, longevity is curtailed, expenditure voluminous, perhaps as the 12th Lord is in Lagna. Okay, so that is longevity is curtailed. Okay, but this is not my thing. Please feel free to check, because like I said, the amount of principles and little dictums given in various books are humongous. It is not possible for me to cover everything in about an hour. Libra, poor without progeny. So Libra Lagna, Sun in Libra on the ascendant, and poor and without progeny. So I do know somebody who is that, and there are issues with their, their employment and stuff. But bear in mind that other planets, let's say if you have Saturn in exaltation there, will alter the signification. So you cannot just take one principle and say gone. Now, Scorpio Lagna with Sun in Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is for the Sun, the Mars Rashis they love. Sun in Mars, love. Sun loves in Scorpio. Why? Because it's its natural friend, it's its commander in chief. Because the sign is Mangal, and Ketu, the other ruler, is also very, very, sort of compatible with the Sun. In fact, one of the great Jaimini sutras is that Ravi Ketu Bhyam Shiva Bhakti. So that means that that little sutra in Sanskrit literally means when the Sun comes together with Ketu, then often there is a bhakti towards Lord Shiva. Okay, so that is one of the little snippets which, so hence the Sun in Scorpio is very, very good. Worldly comforts, especially if it is Scorpio Lagna. It may not be true for all the Lagna, for all the Lagnas and Sun in Scorpio, because it depends on its placement. So Sagittarius, ninth Lord is in Lagna, amazing Punya, great Raj Yoga, famous and Sattvic personality. So if you have Aries rising and Sun in Sagittarius, Sagittarius rising and Sun in Sagittarius, very, very powerful. Okay, very powerful. The chart that comes to my mind is Swami Vivekananda, great Raj Yoga, Sattvic personality, indeed he was. Similarly, Sun in Capricorn and Capricorn rising, sickly disease, misery, health issues galore, as the eighth lord is in Lagna. So that can be a bit of a problem. But of course, other planets will alter the significations. Okay. Aquarius Lagna, spouse demanding, domineering, and thought sitting on one's head kind of a thing. Living with spouse's home. Now, living with spouse's home means Okay, like I said, other indications may alter it. I know, and thoughts Venus is also there. So Venus is a Raj Yoga Karaka for Aquarius, for Kumbha Lagna. So that may alter the signification, but this will hold true. Because why? Because for Aquarius Lagna, the seventh lord is Leo. It's ruled by the sun. So if you have the seventh lord on your head, on your literally in you all the time, following you, asking you where you going and what you doing, and things like that, because it's your lagna. So it will have, it will, you will see shades of it there. Okay. And then we have the Surya, Meena Surya, that is Sun in Pisces, and the the 12th, sorry, Pisces Lagna and Sun in the Lagna. So sixth Lord in Lagna, famous Dhimanta Yoga. But of course, they will have issues also. Like I said, this will eyesight will come about, problems in eyes, because combined with the fact that it is the Leo is their sixth house, the lord of that is on their ascendant, it will color. And of course, Pisces also has a dosha of Surya, okay, which we will come to at some point. So anyway, here's the chart of our man, what's his name, Cheval. Okay. He was a postman actually, so you can say, and he was a phenomenal postman for 30-35 years. You can see he built a just single-handedly, he found a few fascinating stones on his way to a very mundane life of like giving, posts, because he was a postman, giving posts to everyone. And he found these pebbles, beautiful sandstone. He talks about the pebbles represents any kind of animal, any kind of creature. I said to myself, so nature is willing to do the sculpture, I will do the masonry and the architecture. So you see, so he created one by one for over 30 years, 93,000 hours, 33 years of struggle, one by one stone he created. And look at his chart. He created this amazing palace. It's called the Ideal, Palace de Ideal. Sorry, pardon my French and any of the European languages you can call. But here we are. So oops, sorry, I beg your pardon. So here we are. So Sun is in Lagna with Rahu, as you can see. So that's a problem, yeah? As you can see, Sun with Rahu is Aditya Chandal Yoga. Chandal is derived from Chandi, or sorry, not Chandi, Chanda Munda. Like Chanda is like demonic, okay? Demons. So demons, big demons, okay? So Chanda was a big demon. So any association of the Aditya, that is the sun, with Rahu is called the Aditya Chandal Yoga. So you see, you will have to color this. You have the sun will color it, and it is, guess what, with Ketu, the Ketu and Shani are in the seventh house now and retrograde. So now, albeit the Saturn is retrograde, is exalted, but because it is retrograde, it will give the results as if it is in the opposite sign, as if it is debilitated. So then you have two malefics haunting the sun, like literally haunting it. Okay, so that can create a lot of problems. So in spite of that, okay, he was just a humble postman, but in spite of that, that rising sign Aries and the sun exalted in Aries shone through. So you see what I'm getting, because a lot of the artists have referred to his great palace work and things like that. So you see how any planet, especially the sun, is in spite of so many issues with it. He had multiple marriages, multiple, but the fourth marriage, I think fourth marriage, finally, you can see Ketu and Saturn in the seventh house, a big problem. I think some kids died, two of his wives died as well, but one of them actually got a dowry, and the dowry was like a big piece of land. He built the whole structure there, one by one, pebble by pebble. He created this amazing palace, which is influenced by Hinduism and Christianity and things like that. That's what he has said. So anyway, so you get the idea about the sun in Lagna, very, very strong, and that too exalted. So they will toil on. So it has this sense of creation, okay? But of course, because of that Rahu and all the malefics, he was finding the humble police postman. I keep saying policeman, maybe the Aries thing. Okay, let's move forward. Vrishabha. Vrishabha is the mantra associated, the Ganesh mantra, you all may be familiar. The colors are white in complexion, lauded by Venus, night strong, resides in the south. So it's the triplicity, all the earth triplicity will have its Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn will have the directions, southern direction as its residences. It represents villages, element is earth, Rajas Guna rises with its back, and the caste is Vaishya. That is, it wants all dealings with money and structures. It wants to build things, store things, and all of that. So we've done the nakshatras, as you have seen, these three nakshatras it encompasses, but we will, let's move forward, okay? Taurus, the Aditya associated is Aryaman. Aryaman is associated with being the companion, okay? Often Aryaman is coming, the root Arya is Arka. Arka is another name for the sun. And Arka is also a very auspicious plant, very, very nutritious and things like that. So Arka is, the Arka tree is worshipped. So it's very, very auspicious, very sacred tree. So Arka, Aryaman is derived from the, from Arka. And it represents the celestial companion, the hospitality, and it is often invoked in Rig Veda along with Mitra and Varuna, as we will see later. Mitra for Gemini and Varuna for Cancer. So Aryaman, Aryaman is often, the class of mains and, they are basically, they dwell in air and facilitates the air within the body, so the movement of the air and things like that. So again, like I said, companionship, the air, how the food and all of that, the input, the inhalation and the exhalation, all of that comes under the purview of Aryaman Aditya, okay? And the mantra associated is Om Grine Aryama Aditya. Okay, it is one word, Aryama Aditya. Okay, now these mantras are very powerful, like the Dhatra mantra. So if you have sun in Aries or sun in the first, that mantra would do. Om Grine Aryama Aditya, it would also do for Taurus. Okay, any questions so far? No, okay. When sun is in the second house at birth, the person concerned will be without any learning. He will be shameless and will be stammering. The second house is the house of speech, okay? Wherever sun goes, the sun will, because sun is a big ball of fire. It burns that house, literally. Wherever the sun sits, whichever house it sits, I'm not talking of the aspect, I'm talking of wherever the house sits, it will affect and kind of have a little burn that particular nakshatra it's sitting in, the particular Raj, the bhava it's sitting in, it will give some problems or the other. And so the second house is the house of speech, okay, as we will learn later. So when the sun is in the second house, it's about the food, speech, we put in and things like that. He will be stammering a little bit, he will be shameless. So, there are all, and he will be without learning, because the second house is also about learning, you see. So there is that element of it. But again, other things will alter it. Brihad Jataka says the person will sell scents, clothes, hate female, be clever in drumming and music. So there you go. There's one person, Oprah Winfrey. We will see a few charts, but she has also Sun in Capricorn in the second house. So some of these will hold true. She loves scents, clothes, hate females. Well, her bulk of her work is, maybe the other women hate her is more like it. She's not a musician, but she is sort of does talk shows and host shows and all that, and that is closely linked with, like, you're using your voice, using your vocal cords. The native will be abundant in wealth, will be taken away by the king, will also suffer diseases of the face. Saravali says, this Brihad Jatakam, Saravali says, endowed with servants and wealth, facial diseases, and deprived of wealth through royal displeasure and thieves. So at some point there will be this happen. This is not, please don't take it like, oh my God, I'm doomed. Please understand, it is a guideline, but it is a very strong guideline. It will, there will be instances when it will happen. So, and other indications will, other planets in there may alter it or make it worse. So, okay, we've done that. He will manage the household. There will be enmity with siblings over paternal property at some point. So that is an indication of the sun in the second, whichever sign it is in. Okay. So again, now I don't, like I said, we'll be here all evening, all day, I think, if we carry on. But roughly, you have to understand that I'm giving you some little ways of understanding, because when the sun comes in the second, the person remains without wealth, progeny, excellent means of conveyance, without intelligence, jealous and virtuous jealous of virtuous people, and lives in other men's house. Okay, so what does it mean, lives in other people's houses? So often, it could well be, it's not such a big deal. A lot of Europeans live in rental properties, right? They don't all own their own home. So is it that bad? But this is how, because when this was written, maybe it was negative, okay? We don't know, but I would say, I would encourage you to open your minds and keep everything kind of very neutral and go with a non-judgmental attitude, because then you will get the best results with Jyotish. So here, the Surya in the second remains without wealth, progeny excellent, means progeny will be there, but the means of conveyance, excellent means of conveyance, but sometimes it will be even taken away. Okay, so yeah. And if it is sun in the second house so sun is in Taurus in the for Aries Lagna, then it is, you cannot make much wealth, spends all the earnings, so on and so forth. Sun in Taurus, so if it is Taurus Lagna, second house will be Gemini. So sun in Gemini, eye diseases, declining wealth, profit earned by schools, so on and so forth. Gemini, sun is in Cancer, so heavy expenses and many diseases. Sun in Leo, which is in the second house of Cancer Lagna, then significant wealth drained away. So you see, all of them literally are alluding to some kind of wealth or the other. Why? Because like I said, wherever sun sits, it will burn a little bit of that particular nakshatra and that particular house, you see. And so you have to also understand that what house is the sun ruling in? What house? That is a very key question. Where is Leo? And depending on where the Leo is, because that lord, the sun, would go in a certain sign, and akshat later will be doing what the sun, where the Suryapati, that is the lord of the sun sign, is going. So you see, we have to tackle this multifold: the house the sun is in, what rashi it is in, and what the lord is, where the lord of the sun sign has gone in. You see, so there are many, many strands to this. So don't just look at this and say, oh my God, a Leo Lagna and I've got sun in Virgo, I'm going to be long lived. Oh my God, I have no scars on the stomach. And I'm always interested in I'm not always interested in economic progress. Please see other indications as well, okay? And here the sun in Virgo, friendly sign, big earnings, long lived, scars on stomach, interested, so on and so forth. Sun in Libra for Virgo rising, because the second house will be Virgo. Lord of 12th Lord in the second. We know 12th house is all about loss and things, expenditures and all that. So wealth through illegal means or questionable sources, loss of everything in the end. And even for Tula, it shows enormous earnings but loss in the end. So what is this Parashara and various other Varamira and Saravali trying to tell us through all this? Loss, lot of loss in the second house. It will be without wealth. How interesting. Even for Scorpio, it says, if you're Scorpio Lagna or Libra Lagna, enormous earnings but loss in the end. That means towards the end of their life, there will be not much left. Okay, so which gives us a very important clue about the second house, because second house is like the storehouse for wealth. It's about all the earned wealth and so on and so forth, and about stored, the grains, the foods and all of that. So wealth is a big factor in the second house. So sun going there will kind of eliminate some of that, or make sure, because sun is a sattva graha. It is very krura. Sattva means it wants to, what wealth? Forget wealth. I want to go pursue other shastras and pursue higher knowledge and pursue my higher studies and my PhDs and all. Sun is not interested in, accumulation of wealth and all that. So at some point, plunged into the second house, it will start to have a few problems there. Okay. And now for Scorpio, the 10th Lord Surya in the second house in Sagittarius, Sun in Sagittarius, it is very friendly. It is a Raj Yoga, enviable fortune, good longevity, sincere and respectable in his profession. So that's very positive, at least for the Scorpio. So some placements may be Scorpio positive, because it is for Scorpio, the 10th Lord is Surya. Okay, so that for Scorpio, the sun is, wherever the placement of the sun will give you your entire karma. That is what you need to follow. If the sun is in the 8th house in Gemini, fantastic, occult and all of that, you've got to do that. So you see how I'm coming to. So it is like a bit like having sun in Scorpio as well as sun in Gemini if you're Scorpio rising. You see what I'm saying? Is everybody understanding this? That the house, you have to take the natural house as well as the Rashi, the sun's Rashi, okay? Similarly, Sagittarius, 9th Lord Surya in Makar. Whatever is earned is spent on things. And the 10th house, Capricorn Lagna, because the Lord, when you're Capricorn Lagna, 8th Lord is in the second, Sun is in Aquarius, then heart problems, good longevity, lacks happiness from mother. Now we come to Kumbha Lagna, that is Antot, you're the only Kumbha Lagna I know with Sun in Aquarius. Hey, you're in good company. Who else who's got the divine Paramahansa Krishna, Ramakrishna has Sun, Kumbha Lagna, that is Aquarius Lagna, Sun and Moon both in Lagna. Fantastic. Now Sharda Devi, his great wife, okay, she was also a monk, but they were married. She had her own spiritual practices. They were married. She was a big supporter of his work. And it was a kind of a strange marriage, that it was a very deeply spiritual marriage, and they lived in separate quarters, but he depended on her a lot. So she was like a fire behind his entire practice, the spiritual practice. She was very strong. You have to read books of Sharda Devi, very, very. Sharda Mata was extremely like a powerhouse. So you see, Kumbha Lagna, he was Kumbha Lagna, sun and moon on the ascendant, sun in Aquarius, moon in Aquarius, and seventh lord, sun is on his ascendant. Now, do you think Sharda Devi sat on his head? No. She assisted him phenomenally. So you see, you have to understand what is the not all things it will result at. Did he have diseases? Yes, he did have quite a few. He had I think throat cancer. Yeah, he did have throat cancer. So you see that's the second. Yeah, that's, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. So I think I'm getting mixed up with the Lagna there. But anyway, so sorry, I beg your pardon. But coming back to, I keep looking at Anton. Anton, you took me off the, with your thing. Okay, but this is a good example of Aquarius, sun in Aquarius. And, if you're Aquarius rising and the seventh lord in Lagna. Anyway, coming back here, if you're Aquarius Lagna, okay, and the second house will be Pisces. So if you have sun in Pisces in the second and seventh lord in the second, so this is a little typo going on. Yeah, seventh lord in the second. So this is a Srimanta yoga, that is great wealth and things like that is created. But yet there will be diseases, because Pisces has got dosha of, or the problems with the sun. Okay, the sun in Pisces, or the Rashi of Pisces per se, has got issues with the sun. Okay, then
Hello.
Pisces, yes.
Did everybody get why sun in the second house is the Rishi is always talking about disease? Can anybody give me a point? Because you can learn this thing, or you can just understand the concept.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, because you will, otherwise you have to just mug up everything, or you just understand the concept. Why the Rishi is always talking about sun in the second house giving disease?
Heavy consumption.
Okay.
Consumption meaning taking in, eating, absorbing.
Any other point? Any other thing? Any other guesses? Anybody here? Now let me tell you something. Place sun in the first house. Okay. Place sun in the first house. The second, the sixth, the eighth, and the 12th house will be shadow houses from the sun. So the shadow of the sun is not giving you nutrition at all. So if sun is in the second house, your Lagna, your ascendant is in the 12th from the sun. That means it is in the shadow house from the sun. Okay. Anything in shadow is not growing. Remember, we need light to grow. Photosynthesis is based on light. I thought you are muted. I cannot hear you what you're saying.
Same concept in Western astrology.
Everybody will be same. That's the basic concept is same. So whenever the sun is there in the second house, your Lagna is falling in the shadow. So you're always having diseases, no matter what it is. So that's why Rishi is always talking, oh, this is based on the which Rashi or which sign. It might be major disease, or I mean, but your Lagna is going down. That is why we don't like sun in Dusthana. Sun in the 8th house. What is this transformation? What is it is It is transforming your ascendant, because your ascendant is in the Dushthan from the Sun Lagna. Because the house where the sun goes is active. Why? Because from their house, your resources are coming. Okay, wherever which house the sun is, you have to check. If somebody is from the 4th house, then the whole energy of the life is in focus over there. Because that's your sun sign. That is the whole read.
Uh,
That time.
I may also add that I think this would also have great significance for astrocartography, but that's another point.
No, that's
yeah.
Vedic astrology. I'm not going to deviate.
I know, but it feeds into that as well. The same concept.
Okay, you know what, Anton? No, we can't do that yet. Okay,
Anton,
fine.
and because I was listening to it, so you need to understand. Okay, sun is in Aries, having a power of exaltation. That means that the sun is very, very strong. Simple. The sun is an exalted sign. The sun is in the form of Brahma. That person has to uphold the dharma or has to fulfill his duty. Otherwise, that sun is no good for nothing. Sun is in Taurus. You need to focus on your speech and building. Simple. Keep it simple. Sun is the 2nd house, and focus on the health. Always look at the 212 houses. 212, 6 and 8 from the sun. These are the problem houses that you'll need some problem over there.
So, if the sun is in 10,000, the gains and fortunes are under shadow?
Always. Look at the chart of Sri Ram. He has to give up his gains and fortunes for a while. He has sun in the 10th house, Digbala. If sun is the 10th house, you have to focus on the karma. You should not be focusing on what you're earning or not.
Correct. Good, babe. Thank you. Yeah.
See, because thousands of sites have been written, but you have to learn the concept. Because you can read it and just apply with the concept, and the picture will be much more clear.
Yeah.
Sun is in the 3rd house. Just if anybody who has sun in the 3rd house, the 3rd house have many significance over there. He might be skilled with hands. He might be very good with this thing, agreements, contracts, short journeys, guru padesha, or he might be someone who is indulged in overactive sexual activities. Okay, and might ignore his 2nd house, his wealth. He might waste his wealth at times, or might ignore his 10th house, his karma. Okay, that is why when sun is in the Gemini, they say the sun is very good. It's like an exaltation. It's over. So you are not focused on the on this thing. You're not focused on karma, but you're more focused on the wealth, because that is the 9th from the sun. You feel like that your soul's dharma is to focus on the 11th house. Sun in Gemini, good for wealth. Sun in the 3rd house, good for wealth, because it is having a Shubha Dishti on the 9th house. Okay, and your father will be a strong person, because sun is aspecting the 9th house as a karaka for the father.
But also bear in mind that the other akshat, we building on what you just said about the sun in the 3rd house or the sun in Gemini, it's fantastic, because when you talk about the exact degrees of exaltation of the sun in Aries, it goes into the Navamsh, as we did last time in one of the webinars by Andrew Foss. And of course, we have to, this is an old concept, it's called the Ucha Rashi or Uchamsha. The concept is Uchamsha. And basically, it falls the exact degrees of the sun in 10 degrees or 11 degrees, I think, Aries. It falls literally in the Gemini or Mithuna Navamsha.
Yeah.
So that is why it is said that sometimes Gemini is even more powerful, sun in Gemini even more powerful than sun in Aries, or it's akin to its exaltation. So please understand figure out where the sun is. Even if we will see here now that even if the sun is debilitated, if it is in the 3rd house, it can still kind of, overcome some of the issues. So Sun in Gemini, Sun in the third house are more or less Mitra Aditya. They are very, very strong. Okay. Very, very strong. So you have to remember that. And similarly, Sun, as Akshat said, second house from the Sun, it's a problem. It's a Kshaya Bhava. Kshaya Bhava is that everything is too, think of the Sun, okay? It's a bright one. And what happened to his wife, Samjana? She went off to the woods. She went off to her father's house to cool off, her father's palace to cool off in the and in the forest, in the vana. She couldn't stand. She was getting all dark, and she couldn't stand being near the sun. Why? Because anything that is too close to the sun is completely burned. Never forget the mythology, the essence of the Vedic scriptures and the stories and the kathas will have a big clue about Jyotish. It will give you a clue about why is it like that. So when the sun, anything close to the sun, which is the 12th house or the second house, it will completely burn. The sun can't see it. If it can't see it, it's not interested in that particular activity. So you see, that's why the sun also, because of that reason, in the second house, lot of problems will ensue in the second house. Diseases and, even, and it's in Taurus, it's escalated, the problems, even if there is wealth, the wealth will be lost eventually, so on and so forth, So is everybody understanding this very?
And Sonal,
Yeah.
if, for example, for Cancer Lagna, Sun is in his own house, in Leo. So it would not be so bad in terms of health and wealth.
For what?
If for a Cancer
Second
Lagna,
house in Leo, right?
yeah,
His sun is in the second house for Leo, right?
Yeah.
That means okay, for Cancer, and sun is placed in the second house,
Yeah.
right? Sun, whenever a planet is placed in its own sign, always check the Lord of exaltation. First of all, always check. Okay. So Mars, you have to check if sun is in Leo, and anywhere if the sun, if this Mars is sitting in a dusthana or in a bad place and from the sun, that sun is defunct.
I see. Okay.
Anywhere, take any chart in which in any house where sun is placed. If he has even a single aspect of the Mars, that sun is fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, because you need to know that, because sun is the source of all the Agni. He is saying that, okay, I am giving you all the Agni, but the Agni as a ruler is ruled by Mars. So when we are born on this earth, we have to look for the Mars to access that Agni.
I got it.
Suppose the chart in the between, you can see that sun is in the second house over here and Mars is debilitated. Okay, this sun is having no say with the Mars. There's no history, there's no connection. Only Mars is in the second, that is having a Argala, that's debilitated. So this sun is not a very proper sun.
Akshay sir, is it only aspect of Mars, or Mars can be in Leo the same?
Conjunction aspect, it can be any type of sambandha.
Okay, any type of sambandha. Okay.
Any type of sambandha, yeah.
So here you see,
I give you a tip. Okay, if sun is in place in any chart, okay, and you see that if the sun is not aspected with Mangal, that means that at the time of the birth of the person, there was not much light in that room. This is very, very secret tip. Okay, you can just check the time. Okay, you were born, and I think that the room that your baby was born was not too bright. It was a little bit of dark. You can check it.
And you're talking of Graha Drishti, yes?
I'm talking about Graha Drishti. There's no Rashi. Rashi Drishti will also work, but Graha Drishti I'm mostly talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
So you will learn this thing. You will learn because the sun is having a very, very important role when you read the chapter on Sutika. Okay.
Yeah.
For people who are born during the day, sun is their father.
Right. Okay. So let's have a look. Akshat, have a look at this chart. This is a very sad Brilliant, brilliant. He's the creator of the Enigma machine, which decoded all the the secret ones. Alan Turing, who decoded all the secret messages from Germany, from Germans, and then literally on the basis of that they won the war. So and they played a huge important role, and it also gave birth to the modern day computers. So literally that was Turing's bulk of his work. But he was gay, and that was the only thing that was a problem. And only recently in 1952, I think a few years ago, where Gordon Brown was and the Queen pardoned him and sort of apologized or something to that effect, because he was treated very badly. He was in terms of went through electric shock treatments and literal castration, in terms of his all the problems of his kind of coming out of his gay status, gay penchant. So the main thing is that his work though suffered because of that, and he could not be after that particular stint in jail and with all the treatments, he could not then be inducted back into the Royal Society in terms of the science. And GCHQ, which is the communications department of the UK, they would not of Britain, they would not take him back, because of this reason. And of course he swallowed a cyanide pill because he couldn't bear it. And you can see the sensitivity there. I mean, moon is the Atmakaraka, but look at this placement of the sun. Eventually all this wealth he could have, he did earn significant, because he was instrumental in regarding all the messages and decoding of all that in Bletchley Park, which is where it all happened. So the sun and the dispositor of the sun, that is the lord of the sun, is Mercury. Okay, it is the sun is in Gemini, very strong Rashi, but see the placement. If the same sun would have been on the Lagna, it would have been a different story. Or in the third house, he would have had the gumption to fight, you see. So this is, please understand, the placement of the sun and the Rashi of the sun are absolutely crucial. And here you can see that the sun is in the second house. So, it's like having a sun in Taurus.
Whole wealth will burn away. Okay, let's see why. Because you can see that he went into a lot of depression.
Yes,
absolutely. In the Lagna, in the first house, he went into a serious depression. The moment the sun, the royal, and the government took control, everything, he gone into serious depression.
Absolutely. So basically, he was like he felt mentally castrated, Akshad, and he felt like, oh my God, there is nothing left for him. All his work, and he was brilliant. I mean, come on, we've got Christopher here, and he would know about some of his work. I mean, he's iconic, Alan Turing. Without him, we would not have the modern day computers. Like, phenomenal. But what a sad life, what a sad end, So you see, and as Akshat said, Mars is in the third house, Akshat, debilitated. So no drishti on sun.
Let me teach them a new concept, actually, with the sun.
Okay, go on.
The second and the 12th house from the sun. The 12th house of the sun is what the world or the community is giving you. So what he is receiving from the world and community are Marankarak, Saturn, depression. The second house from the sun is what you are giving to the community and the world. So what he's giving debilitated Mars. Lot of logic. Mars debilitated is very, very good. He gave a very, very logical thing. He cracked the code.
Yeah.
Okay. So he is getting a lot of depression from the world, and he's giving debilitated Mars. Logic. It's logic for the lot of logical. He's giving Mangal. It has been exalted Mangal. Then he will be fighting a war. But
Akshat, your basis is also Vaishi Yoga and Voshi Yoga. Yes. But Akshat, can I ask you now a little difficult question? What happens, Akshat, if you don't have any fortune of having any planets flanking any of those two sides of the sun? Then what?
You check the aspect and you check the disposit, the lord of the sign. It's not
Okay.
like we all play a part in a community.
Yeah.
We all play a part in the community, and that is why because no house, if you say that the first house is empty, doesn't mean that the person is brainless. Okay, every house has will have something. There are a lot of other things also. You can check at the nakshatra level. If the Navamsha is right, then he's definitely gay. Okay, so there's the yogas for that also. But you have to check the why is happening, why he is, because you need to have a very strong, you need to have a Saturn influence on the Lagna to go into a lot of depression. The Jupiter has to be weak in zero Digbal.
Yeah. It is there in zero Digbal, which is really
It is there
sad.
in zero Digbal.
So Saturn is in zero Digbal and MKS, and Jupiter is also retrograde and zero Digbal, you see. So, but yet I think that Jupiter probably,
How did he die? Did he hang himself or what?
no, he swallowed a cyanide pill, small cyanide pill.
Then his Arur Lagna is actually in the 9th house. Rahu is poison.
Yeah. Rahu is poison.
Lagna
Yeah.
Lord Moon is working as the Atmakarka, as the Lagna Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Atmakaraka is moon, right?
Yeah, Moon is also working as the Lagna Lord.
Yes.
So
Sorry.
Arur will come over here.
Yeah. Okay.
That is
Yes.
the software
Yes.
calculation. That is nothing.
Of course. The Rahu is definitely the big problem.
Rahu is definitely a big problem, and Rahu in the third, because as soon as he started having wealth or something, this third from Arur Lagna, because Rahu is.
But there is also a Parivartana Akshat between Ketu and Jupiter. Can you see that?
Between Ketu and Jupiter, Rahu Ketu are also having exchange over here.
Yeah, that too. But Ketu and Jupiter for sure. Yeah. So interesting chart, huh, guys? So you see the second house, he did build. So don't get me wrong. Second house is building, it is a very, creating of structures and all of that. He did help to build the whole Enigma machine, So, but yet, there is problems with the sun in the second because of it. But also the Suryapati, Mercury, I think it is combustion, it's Astangata, which can be also a problem.
Do we have the degrees over here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is degrees. Can you see the degrees?
Sun is at 8 degrees and Mercury is, Mercury is combust.
Yeah, Mercury is definitely combust. So anyway, moving forward. So even if Akshat, what do you want to do? I don't think we'll be able to complete all of it today. Do you want to do, give some
let's do it, because then we will carry on this thing.
Yeah.
So let's do the houses from the sun actually.
Okay. So shall I go?
And you guys have any question about the sun's placement?
What do you mean?
Is it something like that? If the sun is debilitated or afflicted, the sun becomes completely weak, or is it that if some sun is debilitated with the benefic planet, sun is not that weak? Anything like that? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Okay. If you want to check anybody person's sun is very, very weak, afflicted, first of all, ask about their father. If the father is alive, then sun is definitely not that weak. Okay. Father is protecting. Second thing, look at their teeth. Okay. If the teeth are crooked, teeth are not well, or they're having dental problems, then there's problem to the teeth.
Okay.
Megha, why that is? Because, Megha, why? Because when we come to the, right now we are only in Taurus and we are, oh my God, I think I'll have to reschedule this again. We'll do another one. But Megha,
Yes,
Akshat, I know, Akshat, that is brilliant. You know why he said teeth, Megha?
What they're eating.
Yes,
then what they're eating. If they're eating too much of green chili, then definitely there's something, the sun is weak and they want to have more and more sun, or they will have some ego issues actually.
Okay.
You can look at the forehead. Look at the forehead is pretty wide, right? And Todd, where is your sun?
It's in Lagna, Akshat. He doesn't have that problem. I'll tell you, Megha, Akshat, I'll tell you why there is this. You're talking because Sun in Libra or Sun in the seventh house is under the purview of Pushan Aditya. Now, Pusha or Pushan Aditya is the giver of a lot of the wealth and, a lot of the priestly duties and things like that. And he was actually a priest in King Daksha, which is the father-in-law of Lord Shiva. So King Daksha did not like Shiva, okay, because Lord Shiva is like he'll wear, for his beauty is all about, for my own wedding, I will put on my makeup. Okay, let me rub some bhasma on my face
Bhasma.
because that's my
Right.
makeup, you see. So
Yes.
what about who are his family? All the Ganas and the Bhutas and all the Sarpas is Shiva's family, right?
Right.
So
Right, ma'am.
Parvati loved that. That is Parvati. He's her Swami, He's her husband. So Sati wanted to go to her father's house because he was having a big ceremony, a big homam, and he had invited all the Maharishis, all the great priests, all the saints, everything. But he missed out because King Daksha, that is her father, did not like Lord Shiva. He missed out on inviting both his daughter and his son-in-law. So what happens? Sati still goes and drags along, and Sati is furious that she hasn't been invited, and the whole homam is going on. That is, the whole fire is going on, and they have already started everything. And Pusha is one of the priests who is conducting the fire. And so what happens? Sati is livid, and because she goes into this fire and she just says, that's it, if you can't accept my husband, I'm going into the fire. And she enters the fire, and literally on hearing the news, Lord Shiva goes ballistic. He goes like berserk, that how dare that, my father-in-law did this yagya and did this homam and did not invite, and worse still, my wife is now gone into this. So he goes furious. He creates all his ganas. Balbad, I think, who's that great that demon he creates, and he drags him along to kill. So literally when he enters, Bhaga Aditya, that is Bhaga, the another of the priests, he breaks his he pokes his eyes, and for Pushan, which is the Aditya for Libra, he breaks his teeth. And later on, that is the whole thing. That is why, Megha, if you see anyone, and I swear I have seen this umpteen number of times, anyone with Sun in Libra after the age of 50, the maturity age of Surya, they will start having dental problems. They will have falling teeth, some neural disorders or something which is connected to the dental and things like that. Why? Because of this, you see, because the Pushan, he broke the teeth of Pushan. So
Right.
of course, later on, I'm not saying this is like a permanent feature. No, it's not. Later on, Pushan also did a lot of tapas because he was a priest after all. He was just there to be there for the ceremony. So eventually he did do penance to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva forgave him, and he got his dental things back. But
Yeah.
see, that is the reason. Yes, Akshat?
So I have Sun in Libra in the seventh house. Okay.
Yeah, but you're still a baby though. You're still too young.
No, it's not still a bit. I might say simple. The simple thing is whenever you have Sun in Libra, check Venus and make sure the Venus is strong. It's simple.
Okay.
It's easy. When the Sun is in Libra, we celebrate a very, very powerful festival and we worship Kali. It's called Deepavali.
Yes. Okay.
Stick to that. Simple.
Okay.
Because I cannot tell you if Sun is debilitated, go and start worshipping Matangi, because we have to check whether you can worship Matangi or not. And we think we will have to take a break actually, because I have an appointment in around 20 minutes. I allotted 2 hours for this, and I think it's more now.
I think not break. We will, I think, continue this next session another time. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, you always give more.
yeah.
The section always increases. You don't
Yeah,
have that thing to follow. You just give and give. You are not like, I don't have to give this. You just give. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
welcome,
thank you. You're
Megha.
very
Thank
generous,
you.
Sonal. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So you see, as you can see, this is not.
till next time. I need you guys to check where is the dispositor of the sun's place.
Yeah.
Okay.
And does Parivartana works? Because
Parivartana,
I
we'll come
guess
to Parivartana later, Margarita. Okay.
because,
Just first understand the placement.
Yeah.
Parivartana will happen at a certain time. And once
Oh,
that
you know
Parivartana
why?
happens, it
Because
will
my son is in Virgo, and I have Mercury in Parivartana in the 12th with Venus in the 11th. So
Okay.
that's why you
Okay.
do you
Let me
consider
tell you,
that?
whenever the Parivartana with the sun is involved, always check the new Rashi for the sun. Okay.
Rashi? Which Rashi, sir?
The Rashi after the Parivartana.
Okay.
Okay. Suppose I give you my example. My sun is in Libra. Okay. It is in the 7th house with Mars and Mercury. My Venus is sitting in the 8th house. So there is an exchange between Mars and Venus. For health purposes, for prediction purpose, I'll take sun as in Libra. But for purposes of matching the chart and what Aditya I told you, I'll take it as in Scorpio. Okay. The energy of the sun will be as in Scorpio.
Okay.
So, because what is that? Whenever the sun is going into an exchange, a lot of things are happening. Your Indra in the chart is changing. Your Abhijit Rashi is changing. There are so many things are happening. So Parivartana of the sun is like a Parivartana of an Atma Karaka, because sun is the significator of the Atma Karaka. This is something advanced.
Yeah.
So you check where is the dispositor of the sun. Make sure that you make and see where this house is. If the dispositor of the sun is responsible for bringing all the resources. Okay. It is bringing all.
Makes sense.
Okay, it is bringing all this, because see, dispositor is the one who is going to give you the result.
Yes.
Okay, you might have an exalted, might have an exalted sun. If Mars is in the problem, then you had it. Okay, the the dispositor is in the problem, you have it. Any planet, you check, the dispositor is always going to bring you the result.
Yeah.
Because
that's why
that house. Nah?
I ask you, because my dispositor with Parivartana becomes exalted, and he brought me resources. Definitely.
So if your dispositor is going forward, then you have to check. After some time, did your health get better? The sun's dispositor has a first rule that he is going to give you nourishment. How is nourishment? Because you are able to absorb that amount of sunlight that the dispositor is telling you. Okay, suppose because we'll do it in the next session with the slide. Okay,
yeah.
So where is your dispositor is of the sun. Check which house it is from the Lagna and which house it is from the sun. You can check it from all the Lagnas actually to get an idea of. Okay, because once you know your sun, the second thing you know your moon and you know your Lagna. So you have covered Hare Ram Krishna. Okay, the Pakesh is like your Jupiter, the sun and the moon.
Also, Akshat, I would also say that wherever the sun's placement is, this is like you have to also see the Karaka. That is the third layer.
This is the dispositor, the Karaka.
Yeah. So please, we will come to that.
It may seem for you a very lengthy task, but once you get into practice, it's just like this.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So Akshat, next week, guys, any ideas? Please put down in the chat box. Is it next week you want to do this or next Saturday? Akshat, does this suit you?
I am open to everything.
And I promise it'll be short. I will whiz through.
It's okay. No, you don't have to put it short. See, If you're teaching in detail, it is good because most of the people doesn't know Indian mythology. It's good for them to learn
Yeah.
because out of these mythologies and stories, they have remedies.
Yeah. So the Pushan, remember the Pushan?
Yeah, why the Puja break is said? Because the sun is in the Libra in the 7th house. So if sun is in the 7th house or in Libra, the first thing that you have to see that you have to control your sexuality because the way the sun is, the energy is there. Okay, so if you have sun in the 7th house and 8th house, the best thing is start doing astrology. All the energy will go over there.
Yeah.
Because people are coming to meet you because you need to meet people in the 7th house and you start giving them mantras, you start giving them remedies. After 2 hours, you will be tired like hell.
Of course. And Akshat, don't forget, sun is also Sattvic Graha.
Sun is a sattvic graha.
Yeah.
Sun in 7th house you're talking about, Akshat sir, or you're saying in the 10th bhava? So anyways, I am in the good profession here.
Yes.
Right, ma'am.
I mean,
Of
Yes.
course. Megha. Why do I
check,
say
you have to
Bhava?
check. Sun in Kendras and Trikonas are considered good. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Sun in Kendras and Trikonas are considered good. You should not have your Lagna in shadow house on the sun. Because the Karaka of the Lagna is sun. So suppose you have sun in the 2nd house, then the Karaka, from the Karaka, the Lagna is in the shadow. Sun in the 6th house, sun in the 8th house, sun in the 12th house. That at times can give you a problem. Okay, but there are remedies. People with the sun in the 12th house, like Mahatma Gandhi became very famous. He became like the sun by the power of Ram. You have to just follow the path.
Yeah. But his was an exception though. And Akshat, later you will learn how the sun in the 12th house or the sun in Pisces is the Vishnu Aditya, which is one of the finest Adityas.
No, Ahimsa. Mahatma Gandhi's sun in the 12th house as the Badak in the 12th, it's a Raj Yoga.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a Raj Yoga, but people say that sun in the 12th house, the Badak in the 12th house is very good. But there's one problem with this. After you die, you need to wait for Vishnu. The Vishnu is not going to come immediately because that is the Vishnu Bhava and Badak is there. That is something
so the
that
karma has to be too good that Vishnu Duta comes and pick you up then. If the sun in the 12th house.
I'll tell you that as if you do Vedic astrology, that is the promise of Vishnu that after you die, your soul will not roam. There will be someone to guide you, this soul.
Oh, that's
Because
a
when
good thing.
when a person dies, the soul may roam this world for a very long time.
Yes.
Okay, that depends on the Punya chart and everything. Okay, so if you do proper Vedic astrology, that means you're doing Vedic astrology in order to help people.
Right.
At least you do help at least one person. That blessing will be there. That there will be someone guiding you after life.
Okay. This is something new that your soul
This
doesn't
is
know
something new because that's why we do as an astrologist, we might face so many problems, right? Health issues by giving mantras, too much bad chart, we feel down. Okay, and we take a lot of negativity, but there's something good in that because after you die, there will be someone.
Okay,
If you do proper Vedic astrology, that is why we believe we call us Jyotishis. We do our mantras. Okay, but this Jyotish is only when you're going to help someone. If you use this Jyotish knowledge to make someone go down, okay, because you have this knowledge, so you can make them grow also, and you can destroy them. So don't do this. The moment you use this Jyotish to make someone go down, the Mars will become negative.
So this can be only in Jyotish or any of the occult sciences we do, sir?
Any of the occult sciences I'm telling you about.
Right, sir.
I'm a Jyotish, so I know about my Jyotish because we are all invoking all the planets at Devta.
Right, sir. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that is why we should not be doing anything negative to anybody else. Because when you learn higher stages of Parashar, higher stages of Gemini, you know that what to do so simply that person you can ruin someone's life if you know what to do, if you know the chart. So never do this. So that is why then the Vishnu will not come. That is the problem. Vishnu will not come. The moment you did, that is the darker side. The moment you go into dark side, then the Krishna will face away.
Okay.
Walk away, yeah. So, Akshat, what happens with people with Saturn or Mangal or Ketu or in the 12th house?
And the 12th house, see, then I'm only talking about the Badhak. Any planet in the 12th house from the Lagna, that planet you have to appease, that Rishi you have to appease actually.
Yeah, that's what I told them. The only
That
rishis will work in the 12th house.
12th house has only 12th house, only two people can reach the 12th house.
Yeah.
Either Vishnu or a Rishi. Nobody else can go in the 12th house. If the planet is malefic, start with the Rishi. If the planet is benefic, start with Vishnu. Simple. Okay.
Okay. So next time, Akshat, when? What time?
Decide with the students actually. And let me know. This time I forgot it was today.
I know. Thank you. Anyone, Antot, give me some
I'm
dates,
good.
guys.
I'm good. Next Saturday this time, same time, sounds good.
Yeah. Wow. Pretty, huh? Antot, is that like is that lovely garden you're sitting?
Actually, it's in Atlanta.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Antot is always outside, and Antot is always roaming here and there.
yeah, it's actually a
Chateau.
property we
oh
just
wow.
got. Yeah.
What is that? I want to come there, Antot.
Yes, certainly. We just got this like 3 weeks ago, and I'm down here working on it 24 hours, so to speak.
Oh wow, amazing.
I've been up since 3:30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And then I just saw this. I'll share it with you because it is. I only saw it when we were doing the.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get a picture of it. Hold on. There it is.
What is that?
It's a mushroom.
Oh wow, that's wild. What mushroom is that?
I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out by the end of the day to see if it's
Don't
edible.
eat it.
You know, by the way, talking of mushrooms, that's beautiful. There is a realmushrooms.com because there's a lot of healing and a lot of medicinal stuff that comes from mushrooms. And so go to that site, realmushrooms.com, because it's like anti-cancer and anti all of that, you know.
Yeah, this is actually going to be an Airbnb and I'm working on it. So the idea of having everyone here is very, very possible within another month or two.
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes. Anyway, thank you guys. So next Saturday we will do the same, if that's okay, because I want to finish next week. I will go faster, all the other Adityas and stuff like that, because that will form the basis, the core of everything, you know, literally everything. You have to know the basics, you know. Yeah. Okay, so see you guys and see you, Akshat. And anyone, any problems, any questions on the trip? There is a Telegram group formed for the trip. So anyone who's interested in the October one, feel free to join that. And Antot, you have to still decide. I can see you've got your hands full, but
yes, by next Friday I'll know for sure because certain things have to be lined up.
Okay, cool. Okay. Have fun. Bye, Akshat.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.